What's up, guys? It's Tuesday, September 23rd, 10:29 a.m., and this is going to be a crypto market update. We're going to cover the charts because we took a little bit of a left turn over the past couple of days here with the liquidation event a couple days ago. We're going to check back in on the charts, see if we're still on track for some good movement to the upside with Q4 right around the corner. So let's get into it here. So basically Bitcoin, it dumped from 115,500 all the way down to 112k, which is a critical level. As you can see here, that was our high back in May, our low back in August, and then we just tapped that point as well too. So that's like our middle zone here between the low and the high. That's the midpoint, and we need to hold that level in the immediate short term if we're going to see a potential for immediate upside to new highs. If we throw in some other trend lines here, like from here, like that, if we were to go lower, we have this trend line support that we've held since April of this year. So you can see touch points of support, found support there early September. And if we were to just go a little bit lower, we have that support there. So that's around like 110,000. So that's going to be, this is our critical concrete support floor that we're absolutely going to need to hold in the immediate short term if we're going to see a potential for a rebound to new all-time highs. That's our first concrete ceiling, concrete floor. If we were to go lower, in my opinion, 100k is going to be that. This is like the make or break level right here. 100k of the bull market is on. So if we can hold, bull market's on. If we break, bear market begins. So that's going to be the point. That's our make or break point in the bigger picture. But in the short term, our make or break point is around 110,000 to 112k. That's our critical must hold level for Bitcoin. And where do we need to break above? We need to come back up here from this high. Let's say this is the low. We need to get back above 116,000, 117,000 ideally, and break up above there. But really reclaiming 120,000 is going to set us up for new highs, because we only have just kind of spikes up through 120k and didn't really last there longer than a day or 2 days of the price action traded. So if we can get above 120k with multiple daily candle closes above, that sets the doors up for a potential move up to 130 to 133,000. So if we take a look at the momentum here, so on the 12-hour chart, you can see that the momentum on the 12-hour is starting to come down. We're below that zero line right now, but as long as we can hold this green slower line above the zero line, then that's okay. So that's why we kind of need a U-turn sooner than later here to avoid that green slower momentum line from confirming down below through that zero line. So that's a 12-hour chart. If we go to the daily chart, we're still above the zero line. That's all good. We're crossed down. That's fine. But like I said, if we can see some cross ups happen from the 12-hour chart, going down to the 9-hour chart, down to the 6-hour. So if we can start to see the 6-hour cross, that'll spill into the 9-hour. We'll spill into the 12-hour. And if it's strong enough, it'll spill into the daily chart. And then we can cross back up here. And by doing that, we can then reverse up, and likely that will be the big momentum push that we need to break to new all-time highs. And we'll have a little bit of an inverse head and shoulders here happening on the daily TSI as well too, and we'd be above the zero line. So that sets us up for a nice rally to the upside. So that's that. Now looking at the total three excluding stablecoins against Bitcoin, if alts are risk on or risk off, we try to break up above that belly of the beast. We couldn't hang up there above it for as long as we should have, and we had a sell now come in on the daily chart, and we reversed and came right back down to our previous kind of level of resistance, as you can see here. And let me hide that. So we couldn't break above the belly of the beast, so we came back down, retested that area of resistance that we had trouble with since May, July, August, broke above in September, retested it just a couple days ago. So holding above it, that's great, but we need to get back above the belly of the beast, which is around 0.037. Let's check the momentum. Momentum is coming down, so we need to see that same kind of thing that I was saying with Bitcoin. We need to see those lower time frames, like the 9-hour, the 11, the 12-hour start to cross up and then spill into the daily chart, and then we can start to reverse up and, you know, come up like that, like we did in July. Going out to a higher time frame, like a 3-week chart, you can see here that we're getting that cross. We're still crossed out. Everything in the bigger picture is still intact, as far as we're just in this kind of zone here, wrapping up this bottoming out like back in the previous bull market with the alt season. So 1, 2, 3, our third bottom, 3 times the charm. If we can start to keep trending up here and then break above kind of this resistance that we've been holding here like that, this will bring us, if we can break up above it, that will bring us smoothly above the zero line, and getting above the zero line will set things off like the alt season of last bull market. So we're, even though it doesn't look like, you know, things are on track because of the dump the other day, things are very well on track in the bigger picture here. So the 3-week doing its thing, 2 weeks still crossing up. We're getting close, you know, a couple weeks. If we can keep this momentum in a higher time frame heading up here, all of a sudden things will reverse and you'll start to see the effects of that. So looking at total 3. So total 3 came down to retest some resistance, now support on both sides. So we had our downward sloping resistance, upward sloping support. We found the converging together as support. This idea I'm toying with at the moment, similarly to November of 2024, where we had one last pull down and then we started to rip up. And usually that's how it goes, where there's one last kind of blood moment and then all of a sudden things reverse and go fast. So if we look at the liquidations from a couple days ago, you can see it's the biggest we've seen since back in March, you know, so usually that will signify the end of a blood move there. So that was insane. So 1.7 billion in a matter of an hour. So if we go to Ethereum here, let's go to the daily chart. You can see we came right down to retest that one there. So our previous highs from back in December of 2024, still maintaining above that level. So we're good there. If we were to go lower, we'd likely come to that 786 at 3,700. And then a little bit lower, we have the 1-day 200 moving average at like 3,400 right there. Looking at something like XRP, you can see since July, we had that downward slope resistance. We broke out of it early September and most recently came back down, wick below, but right down to the support that we had built in on the 1st September, came right back down to it with the wick, but we're holding the bodies above the trendline resistance, which is solid there. And if we even throw fib on it from the low to the high, you can see that the body's maintained above that 786 as well too. So $2.80 what candle body closes is going to be key, and we don't want to see us trading below $2.70, because then that opens up the doors to like $2.50 to $2.43. And in my opinion, that would be the line in the sand as far as XRP goes for it to need to hold, because even bringing this trend line from back of April of this year to touching it to June, stretching it out, you can see that the trend line from there coincides with that $2.40 to $2.50 level. Breaking below that will be no good. So that's our critical like line in the sand of where we need to hold to see XRP continuing to be bullish on the macro higher time frames. And then we need to get back above and break above $3, of course, but getting above that $3.20, $3.30 is going to be what sets us up to head higher than we did in July. Then to wrap it up, looking at the alt season pulse chart, we were starting to do good. We're again swallowed up by the belly of the beast, but we broke above it and we have a 3-day buy now flashing right now. So if we look to the past and see here, you know, it flashed back December 2024, and we all know what happened there on from that point. Flashed September of 2022, flashed here around May of 2021, and then flashed here September of 2020. So we're flirting with the idea of whether we're about to do the big waterfall immediately or another move up before the big waterfall. And it looks like this is panning out, another move up before the waterfall, like something like this is what we're potentially seeing here. And this is not necessarily bad for altcoins. It just means Bitcoin might steal the show for a little bit, and then all of a sudden when we reverse, altcoins can then put more gas on it. It doesn't mean that altcoins are going to fall with this heading up. It just means that Bitcoin might be stronger for however long this moves up for. But if we can get back into the belly of the beast, see that momentum roll over, then we very well could still be on track for an immediate waterfall. I'm looking at how the stock RSI is kind of set up here. See how it's starting to trend up like that. Once we see that cross down on the 3-day chart, this will start to melt down. You can see like back in 2021, we had the same kind of setup where this is kind of where we could be at right now. This is where we could be at right now. And all it's going to take is this to roll back over, and we have a move down below this area here around -30. A move down below will be similar to the old season of 2021. So we're just at this point where we need to see this cross back down. We need to see the stock RSI come down with it. As you can see, the stock RSI looked similar as well at this point. So you can see it right here. It came back up and then it rolled back over, and the TSI meltdown. So same thing. Stock RSI came up. TSI has crossed up a little bit, still kind of going sideways. So once this melts down, this can melt down with it, and that can be the big move up for altcoins. That's what we're waiting for, and we need Bitcoin to play along with it, and Ethereum as well too, to hold the line and start to trend back up. But as far as this goes, we're still, maintaining. We haven't broken structure. Everything is still on track, and that could have just been a one more kind of sneaky flush before the rush. So that's going to be it. I'll be tracking it as we go here. So in the Discord, I'll keep you guys updated if anything changes. So I'll see you guys in there. Link is in the bio for that. And I'll see you guys in the next video.